Please join me in a round of applause to Alexa Bosk and Kyle Gall from the Cascadia Park Band and our VFW members. You may be seated. Hello and welcome to Edmonds College 10th Memorial Day Ceremony. I am Matt Durkee, Director of the Edmonds College Veterans Resource Center and a member of the Memorial Day Planning Committee. I served in the Army from 1990 to 98 with deployment to Kuwait with the 18th Airborne from Fort Bragg, North Carolina in 1990 to 91. My Army time was rotated between Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and 2nd ID, Korea. Before I introduce Jen up here, I would like to do something kind of off script here. Jen, would you step forward, please? I wanted to recognize Jen's multi years of service to our community, to also Edmonds College and Veterans Service here. So I'd like to present her some flowers. This is off script, so she really did not know about this. A round of applause to Jen. Thank you.
As he said, I am Jen Matthews. I am also on the Memorial Day Planning Committee. Most of you know me as the director of the Black Box Theater. I am also the proud daughter of an American veteran. I lived on 3 bases, including Fort Bragg, and overseas as my father, Lewis Matthews, who passed away in 2020, served his country as an infantryman, communications specialist, and medic in the U.S. Army. We've had a lot of Navy at this podium in past years, so it's my privilege to represent the Army with Matt today.
Thank you.
So true. So a couple things that I always say at the top of every show. Emergency exits are located in all 4 corners of the building. Should we need to evacuate for any reason, please leave your seats because they do not float. The latrines are located across the hallway from the theater. That's the head for you Navy guys, or the restrooms for us normal folks. And please make sure your phones are in silent mode, so make sure they're off the buzz, off the ring. But please feel free to take pictures. And hashtag us at Edmonds College on your socials so we can see those pictures. Thank you.
We are so excited you are here. We are honored by the Edmonds College community and honored and humbled by the strong statement you help us make each year that the fallen and their families are not forgotten. Let us please welcome Dr. Amat B. Singh, the 5th President of Edmonds College, to the stage.
Thank you to everyone for joining us today for Edmonds College 2023 Memorial Day Ceremony. I am Dr. Amit Singh, President of Edmonds College. Today, we honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. I would like to express my gratitude to those on our campus and the broader community who have served in the military. I also like to recognize the sacrifices families make to allow their loved ones to serve. To our students and employee veterans, you are a shining light on our campus. Thank you for your service and your continuing work with our students and Edmonds College. I would like to thank the Edmonds College Veterans Center for its commitment to serving marginalized veterans, including justice-involved and homeless veterans, putting them on a path to success by meeting their educational goals. At Edmonds College, we resolve to serve the community and our veterans has never been stronger. To our veterans who are in the audience today, as well as your family members, thank you.
We thank you for your kind words and support, Dr. Singh, and thank you for your leadership and support that you and the Edmonds Community College have shown to the students and community veterans here.
It is a long-standing tradition to begin any ceremony here with the posting of the colors, singing of the national anthem, and reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. Today, the VFW 1040 is already here posting the colors for us. They will be joined by Glenn Ledbetter to play To the Colors. On a special note, Glenn has been here at every single ceremony that we've done, so we're privileged once again to have Glenn join us.
Please rise for the presentation of our nation's colors remain standing for the national anthem and Pledge of Allegiance as said by Brianna, one of our own student veterans.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please be seated.
We would like to take a few moments to acknowledge that we are gathered today on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish peoples who have lived in the Salish Sea Basin through the San Juan Islands and North Cascades watershed through time immemorial. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude for our indigenous neighbors, the Stahopes people, for their enduring care and protection of our shared lands and waterways. We recognize that this land acknowledgement is one small step towards true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the indigenous peoples of this land and beyond. And because words are only useful if they lead to action, we invite you to consider attending the next Native gift-making activity hosted on our campus and learn indigenous stories and principles from the leaders from the Blue Heron community and the Blue Heron Canoe family. It's on June 7.
Next, would you like to take a moment to acknowledge and recognize those seated around you? Which one?
Keep going.
Oh, if you are an elected official or representative of our elected officials, could you please stand, wave, or stand and be recognized?
Elected officials?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Specifically, we would like to recognize Edmonds Mayor Mike Nelson, who's somewhere in the room. Jessica Corbin from Congressman Rick Larson's office, over there. Steve Woodard, our very own Steve Woodard, Motley Care's Council. And we'd also like to recognize Joseph Malhoda, who's going to read a statement from Senator Patty Murray.
Thank you for having me today. I'm sure the senator would have loved to be here, but in her stead, I have her remarks for this Memorial Day. Dear friends, thank you for inviting me to join you this Memorial Day to help take part in paying respect to those who bravely served our country. Even though I am unable to join you in person, I am so grateful that communities across Washington state are taking the time to honor our service members who have made the ultimate sacrifice. As the daughter of a World War II veteran and a Purple Heart recipient, taking time on Memorial Day to reflect, remember, and honor our veterans is deeply personal to me. We owe our service members a debt of gratitude which can never fully be repaid. Military service entails immense risk, sacrifice, and selflessness, and we are eternally grateful to those who answer its honorable call. And to those surviving family members, we honor you and the sacrifices you have made and continue to make. I am dedicated to ensuring that our veterans, military personnel, and their families have access to the resources and support they need and deserve. And I am working every day to help fulfill our nation's promise to them. Please know that your country stands with you, and you will always have our unwavering support. On this Memorial Day, let us come together to honor the heroic men and women who have given their lives to defending our liberties and freedoms. Their sacrifices will never be forgotten, and their legacies will continue to inspire future generations of Americans. I want to offer my heartfelt gratitude and appreciation for all of our veterans and service members, their families, and those who have gathered here today to honor our nation's heroes. Sincerely, United States Senator Patty Murray. Thank you.
If you are a student veteran, could you please stand, wave, or could you please wave or stand to be recognized? If you are able, please stand or wave if you are serving currently in the armed forces. These are the people who have taken an oath to defend what we hold dear. There is no greater calling, nor any higher possible sacrifice. Please stand or wave if you are a veteran. Okay. You can be seated. This group has done their duty, giving those that serve today the foundation to keep our freedom and way of life safe and secure.
Anyone here who is a family member of a veteran or someone currently serving in our armed forces, please stand or wave and be recognized. These brave people are the reason those in uniform do what they do. They watch their family members go out and then wait for them to come home. That is perhaps the hardest job of all. Thank you.
Last and perhaps most importantly, we acknowledge those who have made the supreme sacrifice for our freedom and the family members they have left behind. I want to draw your attention to the POW MIA table, which is set for 1. They may be gone from us physically, but they will not be forgotten. We remember their courage and selflessness and are inspired by it in our daily lives as we face and overcome our greatest challenges together.
We are very lucky today to be joined by Edmonds College Board Trustee member Wally Webster II. Trustee Webster has served on the board since 2019 and will continue to do so until 2024. Originally from Alabama, Trustee Webster moved to Pasco, Washington as a teen. After graduating high school and with the draft looming, he volunteered to join the Air Force in 1965. He would serve in Japan Tachikawa Hospital during the Vietnam War, where he treated many of the war's wounded. Trustee Webster was honorably discharged in 1969 from the Air Force and returned home to Washington, where he used the GI Bill to pursue his higher education. He would earn 2 associate's degrees from Columbia Basin Community College and his bachelor's and master's from Central Washington University. Trustee Webster started his career as the executive director of the Benton Franklin Community Action Agency, a federally funded anti-poverty agency, and as the director of affirmative action for Central Washington in the early 1970s, before switching to the bank industry. He moved to Snohomish County with his wife of now 54 years. And he has had a distinguished banking career. He retired as Senior Vice President of Bank of America after a career that spanned over 32 years. Trustee Webster has generously served the community and numerous organizations in retirement, and in his positive impact is immeasurable. We are lucky to have him as part of our Edmonds College family, and we thank Trustee Webster for his tireless work and dedication. Please welcome our valued guest and keynote speaker, Trustee Wally Webster II.
Thank you for that introduction. You have given most of my speech already. I don't have much more to say. Hello, everyone. It is an honor to be asked, and I graciously accepted the invitation to speak with you today, this special day, remembering and recognizing those who made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom of this nation, Memorial Day. Memorial Day was originally called Decoration Day. It was called Decoration Day because this was the day families traditionally decorated graves of loved ones, fallen soldiers, with flowers, wreaths, and flags. Memorial Day is a day of remembrance. Remembrance of those who have died in service, in the line of duty for our country. A day of remembering the soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom we enjoy today. Memorial Day was first widely observed in May of 1868 to commemorate the fallen soldiers of the Civil War. Whether you call it Decoration Day or Memorial Day, this nation galvanized to honor and remember fallen soldiers at local graves, battlegrounds throughout the United States following the Civil War. 57 years ago, 1966, Congress and President Lyndon Johnson declared Waterloo, New York, the birthplace of Memorial Day. 5 years later, in 1971, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act that established the last Monday of May as Memorial Day. For those of you who are from the South, like me, several Southern states recognized an additional Memorial Day. It was called the Confederate Memorial Day. In Texas, it was the third Monday in January. In Arkansas, the fourth Monday in April. In Alabama and Mississippi, April 26th. I mention this only because some of you may have come from those states and I don't want to leave you out. Also, I don't want to bore you with a lot of history, but I do want to share with you several historical facts that make this day special in the African American community. The 54th Massachusetts Regiment, the first regiment of African Americans from the North to serve during the Civil War. The 54th Regiment became famous for its fighting finesse, and great encouragement. The Buffalo Soldiers. The Buffalo Soldiers were a United States Army regiment which was composed primarily of African Americans. The nickname Buffalo Soldiers was given to this regiment by Native Americans who fought against them in the American Indian Wars. The Tuskegee Airmen. The Tuskegee Airmen were the first African American military aviators in the United States Armed Forces. During World War II, Black Americans in many of the southern United States were still subject to Jim Crow laws, and the United States military was racially segregated as well. The military made a conscious decision not to re-engineer the social structures of the South when they brought African Americans into the military. The Tuskegee Airmen was subject to discrimination both within and outside of the military. The Tuskegee Airmen story is a good segue into the backstory of my military service and experience. Excuse me. As mentioned earlier, I grew up in South Alabama. Immediately after graduating from a segregated high school, I came to Pasco, Washington. Pasco was just as segregated as the South that I left. The overwhelming majority of African Americans, with very few exceptions, lived in East Pasco, which was under and over and east of the railroad tracks. After arriving in Pasco, I became active in the civil rights movement. I was one of the founders and president of the first Tri-Cities chapter of the Congress of Racial Equality, better known as CORE, while attending Columbia Basin College. During this time, there was a local military selective service board made up of local volunteer citizens. This board was responsible for determining who got drafted and who got deferred. I found out years later that the board made a conscious decision. The best way to get rid of that troublemaker, radical Wally Webster was to induct him into the military. I received my Army draft notice in June of 1965. Instead of reporting to the Army, I decided to join the Air Force in July 1965. About a week before I was supposed to report to the Army. When I reported for my induction ceremony, I had to recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I will never forget, after a short briefing on the military protocols, raising my right hand and saying, I, Wallace Webster II, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I would often have flashbacks growing up in Alabama when I saw the flag. I was pledging allegiance to the flag that was held by white men known as the KKK, riding on horsebacks, wearing hoods over their heads and their bodies. That was the flag that I knew. The flag was on these horses, standing in front of our house, standing in front of our neighbor's house, headed for the hillside to burn their ceremonial cross. The flag of the flag made of stars and stripes meant terror to me. Let me repeat. The flag made of stars and stripes meant terror for me, my family, and my neighbors. One of my active duty assignments, as was pointed out, was in Tachikawa, Japan. After arriving at Tachikawa Air Force Base, which was the largest military base, largest military hospital in the Far East, I got to see and provide medical services to soldiers who were casualties of the Vietnam War. These soldiers were triaged in either Thailand or the Philippines and airlifted to Tachikawa Hospital because it was determined during the triage that they would not make it to the States. They would not survive the flight to the States, or the treatment that they needed were minor so they could return to Vietnam. It was Tachikawa Hospital that I understood the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. When I stood and placed my hand over my heart, it diminished the emotions I experienced growing up in the South, where that flag was being carried on horseback with men with white hoods over their heads. It diminished that emotions. It was the military where I heard the national anthem. When I heard the national anthem, I would jump to my feet, place my hand over my heart, and get a rush of pride from the bottom of my feet to the top of my head. It was in the military where my fear of terror was replaced with loyalty and gratitude. It was in the military where my feelings of anxiety, not belonging, not valued as a whole person, were replaced with self-love, self-esteem, determination. I am somebody. The great veterans of the war in Vietnam changed my life. It was the injured soldiers lying in their beds, fighting for their lives. It was the injured soldiers who was disconnected from these life support devices, and the sheet was pulled over their face. It was the warriors who sustained severe injuries that would change their lives forever. It was the warriors whose families would not know for weeks that they never will see their loved ones alive again. It was these warriors who caused me to fall on my knees and kiss the ground when I disembarked from the airplane at Travis Air Force Base, California. It was these warriors who made me proud to jump to my feet, as I said earlier, remove my cap, place my hand over my heart, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag proudly and loudly as I could. It was these soldiers who made me stand and sing the Star-Spangled Banner, out of tune, all right, but to the top of my voice. The military was good for me. It was one of two major turning points in my life. I was honorably discharged, it was mentioned before, from the military, and as such, I was eligible to receive the GI Bill benefits, which include, among others, providing excellent educational benefits. My military service and this GI Bill enabled me to complete my AAs, bachelor's and master's degrees without financial aid or student loans, to save enough money from my monthly benefits payments to make the first down payment on our first home. The military enabled me to overcome the psychological benefits, the psychological beliefs that I was marginalized, second-class human being. In closing, I salute the men and women who are currently living up to their solemn oath and defending the Constitution of this great country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I salute the veterans who have returned home from wars, conflicts, and other military actions, who are now living under gross negligence and challenging conditions. I salute the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom that you and I enjoy this 2023 Memorial Day. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
So thank you, Trustee Wally Webster. I'm going to go off script again, but I think this is much needed and very important to do. What I'd like to do is get one of my student veterans to come down and present you a gift from us to you, and thank you for who you are and what you bring to the table here. So I appreciate this. Lionel Lange. Let's do this. So this picture, I believe, is the Tuskegee Airmen, and they are the red-tailed hawks, if I am correct. And I thought this would be very apropos since he is in Air Force, not Army, by the way, but Air Force. But I just wanted to present this as a special token and thank you from us to you.
Thank you.
You may be seated. So we're going to transition to the slideshow. Okay. So the slideshow is produced by Marine veteran and Assistant Director of Security of Operation at Edmonds College, Fernando Moratala, who has supported us at each of our Memorial Day and Veterans Day ceremony for the past 5 years. Today's slideshow will be accompanied by...
It's going to be accompanied by Paul Chayoktan on the flute. He is of the Wasanich Nation. After the slideshow, we will observe a moment of silence. We're going to dim the lights. Please honor our veterans.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountain majesty. Above the fruited plain, America, America, God shed His grace on thee. Oh, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, God shed His grace on thee. Whoa, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, oh, America, God shed thy grace on thee, and crown thy youth with brotherhood from sea to shining
First, thank you to Paul for honoring our loved ones today. And America the Beautiful was performed by T.C. Koyes, Kelvin Nesvog, and Chris Zarek. We recorded that a couple years ago, and we're glad to present that again. The images were provided by our very own Veteran Resource Center. We have one on campus if you don't know about it. Matt can tell you all about it. We have concluded our time here in the Black Box. Now we're going to parade out to the Boots to Books Monument Please join us by proceeding out these north doors and then around the side of the building to the loading dock. You'll find our golf cart all ready to go out there. We'll line up behind it, and when the pipes start blowing, start walking. Just, follow the parade. We'll kind of wind our way through campus and end up over in the courtyard. Before you leave, I have one more page. It's got 2 lines on it. After the outdoor ceremony is concluded, you are invited to visit the Veterans Resource Center in Linwood Hall. I'm told there will be charcuterie and coffee. All right, thank you for joining us.
All right, let's say color guards, recover and prepare to move outside.